Scrappy friends, I have a Get It Scrapped layout for you today. This is for my December submission in the blog. So each month we're given a challenge or whatnot, and we have to interpret that challenge for ourselves. So my challenge this month was the holiday letter. So you know how each year we get or write out letters where we explain and tell about the things that we have been doing or we have accomplished through the year for our family. I feel like holiday letters aren't as popular. At least I don't think I've gotten any this year. And in the past, I used to get more and it just kind of trickled. But I know it's one thing that I did last year actually. But I wanted to make a twist on this because here's the thing, is really not every year am I that good about sending out letters. And also, part of what I like about the holiday letter is the actual receiving of them, right? So I thought it would be fun to kind of twist it and make this fit more along the lines of receiving the holiday letter and looking forward to seeing what your friends and your family, what they're up to and their accomplishments. Because let's face it, as much as our spreads and our albums are about us, I like to pay tribute to the people in our lives that actually help make us who we are, right? So that was that is where I'm going with this. So I decided to use as my inspiration the cards themselves, right? Because each year you get cards from all over the place, and some years you get more cards than other years. And so what I did was I had actually took a picture of my cards ahead of time. So you didn't see me do this, but I took pictures of our cards just, on a white foam core board, because that's what I use to take pictures on anyway. And I just took a picture of each card, the front, and I am going to make my own little mini cards. So that is what you're seeing me do. I am deciding which cards I want to add the picture of those cards to. And I just printed them off really small. I printed them on photo paper. If I had thought about it ahead of time, I could have put it in Photoshop and created like these small, on one page and just used like cover stock or something. But I didn't think about that ahead of time, so I didn't do it that way. That's okay. But yeah, so I am just creating cards for each of these because I want it to I want it to be fun and interactive. And I thought that this would be really fun to just make cards, because that's one of the fun things about holiday scrapping that I actually really love, is that you can change things up a little bit from your norm and, make these really fun, cheeky and cheesy layouts that, really are probably going to be the favorites, right? Because everyone can go back through and look at the cards that they got that year and say, oh yeah, who is this one from? Who is this one from? And so what I did for on the inside of each one, so some of them I'm creating like just a card background. So like what I would do if I was making cards on my own, because I'm not a card maker in the stamping sense, I will use paper and, just create something. So I tried to do something kind of simple, though this process did take quite a while because I did quite a few cards, but in the end, I'm really, really happy with the way this turned out. And I just went in and I looked through my stash of stuff that I've kind of been using this year and old stuff. So I have some Chamel stuff. I kind of tried to stick with like some kind of theme. Like I tried to stick with a lot of the Chamel stuff that I had because I absolutely love that collection, her Christmas Magic collection. But I also am going to use some crepe paper stuff too. So I'm just trying to, think through what I want each little card that I created on the top. But I am trying to keep it simple. But if you watched my videos before, you know that I say I wanted to do simple, but really it's not. And this really was not, it was simple in some ways, but it's not really overtly simple. The fact that I had quite a bit of cards, I'm trying to remember how many. I don't know. There was quite a bit. But on the inside, what I did was I wrote who the card was from, so the family's name, and then I also wrote where they were from, like where they sent the card from, so where they were living at the time. And I wanted to do that because that's one of the fun parts about the holiday season and being a military family is the fact that we know people from all over, right? And we get cards from all over, and it helps being a scrapbooker too, right? Because I get cards from a few people in the scrapbooking community, and I really appreciate it. I appreciate those friendships that we can send each other cards, and I can see how they're some of them are just cards, but some of them, actually have those holiday letters. So what I will do, and you're obviously not going to see this because I work for a while on these cards. I should have cut some of this out, but I don't know. Sometimes I like to show this whole process so you guys actually get an idea for how long it takes for me to do these spreads. So one of the things that I will mention is that having this kind of concept did not help my timeline at all. It probably actually added more work because I'm doing a lot of, I'm making all these cards. But in the end, sometimes it's just the fun of making a layout, right? Thinking of something outside the box. And that was one of the things with this challenge that we were told was to think outside the box. Don't just create a letter of your family, and so, but what I will be doing is in the pocket or, in the page protector with this layout, I am going to add all of the holiday letters that we received that year for the year 2016. And I am going to put those in there just so that we can go in and look and see the people that actually did send us, our friends and family who sent us letters. So you can see how how they were and what they were up to and sharing their accomplishments, because really that's what, like I said, the heart of this layout, that's what it really was about, is about, the people who share our lives with us and what they mean to us, and by, sharing a little bit of them. So part of the reason why I added some of the card fronts on the inside was actually that some of our friends and family aren't really on social media. So I also was thinking about that aspect. So, yeah. So that I actually wanted to say that because sometimes we know people who really aren't online, and I know we share a lot of stuff, right? And sometimes it's important to take the time to remember that not everybody is cool with having their stuff. So my next thought, and this is me working on this, is I'm trying to create a few layers for interest, but this really is going to represent our door frame, because in my house, that is where we add our cards to, at least in the house that we're in right now. So we add them to the door frame, and they go along the top and the sides and stuff. So I wanted this to feel like the cards were hanging. So I'm going to take some of this Christmassy twine, and I'm going to use a lot of staples. So if you're someone who is very thoughtful of archival, this is probably not the layout to pick to do. this design. But in the end, I wanted it to look fun, and I wanted it to look like it was hanging, and I didn't know how else to do it but to make my layouts hang. And I wanted it to have loops and twirls, because this is one of the fun things about Christmas. So each of the cards is going to go around, and I'm going to do these loops and hope that it's going to help. And I wanted it to not feel like super, when I put it on my door frame, they're super like straight, and well, not straight, but you know what I mean? Like they're right on top of each other, and it is kind of hard to see every single one, but I really wanted this so that you could see every single one. So I am making sure that I add the loops and everything to give each of these cards the room to breathe, right? So I have no idea how this will be when it's in the page protector, if my family will actually take the time to take it out, but I hope they do, because this was really fun to make. So I'm going to put in a little plug right here. Well, I'm working on getting these in, and you'll see as I start working on it how I actually glue them in, because I'm going to glue them in. I'm going to use some of that Tombow glue, and I'm going to put it on the twine where that crease is, and hopefully it won't. Time will be my friend and it will stick. I let it sit for a while with stuff on it so that it would actually hold too. And I made sure that it wasn't like on the picture itself. So the cards that have the pictures inside the card front on the inside, I really wanted to make sure that I didn't get glue on that. So this part I did have to get out my other stapler, because that little teeny tiny attacher was not going to work. It just wasn't reaching, and I absolutely had to do what I wanted to do. Right? I set out to do it, so I had to do it. It was definitely fiddly, but that's okay. So I'm going to make sure that down below in the information box that you can find the link to the blog post where this spread is talked about. There will be lots of other spreads that also are with the theme of the holiday letter, so that you can get a good idea about how you could potentially make a layout like this as well. And this is one of the things I absolutely love about Get It Scrapped, is that they're all about finding your own style and representing that. So you definitely want to make sure you check it out. And if you haven't checked out Get It Scrapped, you really should, because, oh yeah, I forgot that I used some ATG on the back of each card so that the back of it would stick. So that part wouldn't move around too much. Of course, my head is in the way, and I'm absolutely sorry about that, but this had to be done standing up. You know, there's just some of those layouts that you have to do something opposite than what you normally do. And I usually sit down when I scrap, but this required me to stand up. So I just needed that advantage. But yeah, Get It Scrapped is absolutely, the resources that they have is so amazing. Debbie Hodge has worked super hard to get to put together a team and classes and webinars for you to come in and see a variety of scrapbookers, digital and non-digital, like so paper and digital, and you can really get an idea of, you know, how to make your scrapbooking better, design-wise, but also story-wise as well. So definitely, if you're looking for a subscription-based place that you can come and have access to hundreds of classes and ideas, this is the place to go. And especially if you feel like you're always running out of ideas for different ways to think about the scrapbooking different things. Like I said, you know, each month we different parts of our team work together with different themes, and we have a challenge and we have to think about it in a different way. And I really like the fact that I have to start a layout in a different way. Usually I just go and I just grab stuff and then I put it down, and these challenges have really made me have to think outside the box. But it's really good because especially when you scrap so much, like I do, or you've scrapped for a really long time, sometimes it's really hard to find a way to document your holidays differently, or just scrap a little differently. And that's the thing, is like, after how many years of doing layouts about Christmas cookies and putting ornaments on the trees, sometimes you need a little bit of a different way to come across these across telling these stories of our lives. Because really, yes, every year is very similar, but sometimes there's different elements and different ways we can take it out of it. And that's what I love, is that you're going to get access to a different way to do things from more than one person, and so that you can find out what is the best way to scrap for your style, because really you don't want to do other people, you want to do you, right? And that's what I love, that this team has given me the opportunity to be me, but to show how you could be me and look at these challenges differently. So I hope you guys check it out. It is well worth the money that you're going to spend. And like I said, you have access to all these different classes. And there's webinars and stuff that Debbie does multiple times during the year. But there's so much information and so much fun. And they have a whole community in itself of a wide variety of scrapbookers. Like I said, there's a lot of digital and paper, and I really love that we can come together and join these two together and learn from each other, because just because you don't use paper in the physical terms, or if you kind of hybrid it, doesn't mean that it's not the same techniques that you're trying to, or the same ideas of ways to start. So anyway, as I've talked a whole lot about that, you've seen me start my title and embellish, and I added that little cluster underneath where my title is because I didn't want it to flow. It just really felt like it was floating. So sometimes when I have that, I stick like a couple of strips of paper or something, and then you can start resting your title or a cluster on. And I added that tag underneath the words tidings. And the title is Tidings of Comfort and Joy, because I don't know, when I think of cards, I think of, like good tidings, right? I don't know. It just sounded right. It was kind of cheeky for me being cheeky. I don't know. Anyway, I hope you guys are having an absolutely wonderful holiday, and I hope that you guys got something fun out of this. Definitely check out the links below so you can see the blog posts. There's tons of other amazing ladies who have shared their holiday letter layouts. And I will see you guys later. Have a great scrappy week. Bye.